witnesses.
Gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to my good friend, Representative, for asking me to do that. I think you've raised the expectations here, so we'll see what I can do. You know, I've been in Congress now for 10 months, and this is the second time the government has been shut down. And what is similar in them both is the reason. Because Democrats have put the priorities of illegal immigrants over the priorities of the people that we swore an oath to protect. That is, the American citizens. A few months ago, the shutdown was to try to give illegal immigrants free health care. And now the shutdown is simply over whether they should go home. What we're dealing with is a fetishization of illegal immigrants that I simply can't understand. Sometimes I think it's delusion, that they live in a world of sunshine and rainbows and pixie dust and unicorns, where anyone who wants should be able to come to the United States, that everyone is good, that no one causes a problem, that they can get all the free stuff they want, they can vote in our elections, and everything will work out just fine. But that's not how it works. We hear a lot about the 2 Americans who were killed, and it is unfortunate that that happened. But what I would note is if they had been staying away from law enforcement while law enforcement was doing their job, which is to round up and send home people who are in our country illegally, who have been told to leave and refuse to do so, nothing would have happened to them. But you know who they don't talk about? The estimated 500 Americans that are killed each year by an illegal immigrant. Why do we not know their names? What about their families? Those 500 people, that's 500 families whose lives are destroyed, 500 spouses and mothers and fathers and children who are dead because of someone who should not have even been here. That's who I swore an oath to protect. But let's make no mistake what this is about. Democrats do not care about illegal immigrants. They don't care at all. What this is about is political power. That is what this is about. Because the states that they run, real Americans, actual Americans, people who should be able to vote in our country, are fleeing in droves. U-Haul businesses going through the roof in places like New York and California. And they're moving to my state of Florida. And as Americans leave these horribly run states that do not cooperate with law enforcement, where they release these criminals out onto the streets, the only way they can retain power is to import illegal immigrants to try to hold on to their seats in this House, to try to hold on to their federal funding, and to try to hold on to their elections. That is what this debate is about. So I believe that we need to move forward today, because all this vote is right now is a vote on whether to discuss and vote on whether to reopen the government. Now, I will be honest, there are things in the underlying appropriations bills that make my stomach churn. But I believe we have an obligation to the American people to have that debate and to have that vote. And to vote against the rule means you do not believe the American people should even have the possibility of having that government reopened again. I came here to fight to make sure there are not another 500 families next year, and 500 the year after, and 500 the year after. We need to get the government reopened, we need to get our folks back to work, and we need to be focused not on illegal immigrants, not on people who shouldn't be here, but those who should and have the right to be and have the right to be safe. That's why I'll be voting for the rule today, and I hope all of my colleagues do as well. And with that, I yield back.
Gentleman yields. Gentleman from Georgia.
Mr. Speaker, we reserve.
Gentleman reserved. Gentleman from Massachusetts.
Mr. Speaker, the Florida man who just spoke characterized the murder of 2 Americans by ICE agents as unfortunate. It's not unfortunate. It's goddamn unacceptable. And everybody should be outraged by that. And he also bragged about the fact that he's been in Congress for 10 months and the government has been shut down twice. I hate to be the one to remind the gentleman, but the last time I checked, his party is in control of everything. The White House, the Senate, and the House. You run the show. So maybe November will be a month of reckoning. Let's hope so, for the sake of this country. Mr. Speaker, if we defeat the previous question, I will offer an amendment to the rule to make an order, amendment number 47, to Senate amendment to the Senate amendment to H.R. 7148, which would allow for an up or down vote on whether to cut the $75 billion Republicans gave ICE in their big ugly bill and use those funds to undo some of the big ugly bill's disastrous health care cuts. Mr. Speaker, last year Republicans voted to kick more than 15 million people off their health care. 15 million Americans they chose to kick off health care through an over $1 trillion cut to Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. Republicans claimed that this was for deficit reduction, but we know that wasn't true. That was a lie. According to the nonpartisan budget experts at the Congressional Budget Office, their big ugly bill added $4 trillion to the national debt, in part by giving ICE boatloads of cash to run roughshod through American cities with zero safeguards. This must end. If Democrats defeat the previous question, we will offer an amendment to repurpose these ICE funds toward lowering health care costs, which Republican Senators Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins voted for just last week. So I challenge my Republican colleagues in this body to do the same. Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to insert the text of my amendment into the record along with any extraneous material immediately prior to the vote on the previous question. And to discuss our proposal, I yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from Rhode Island, the sponsor of this amendment, Mr. Amo.